Jacob, a quiet homeowner who valued peace and routine, began noticing something odd. Important letters never arrived, bills showed late notices, and even a birthday card from his sister vanished. At first, he thought it was the postal system's fault, but when packages he tracked as delivered never reached his door, suspicion gnawed at him. The neighborhood was ruled by the HOA. Among its loudest voices was Karen, a sharp-tongued woman who always found fault with Jacob. She criticized his grass length, the shade of his curtains, even the way he parked. Still, Jacob never imagined she could be tied to something as serious as missing mail. One afternoon, as he walked past her porch, he noticed a package with his own name faintly visible beneath a clumsy strip of black marker. His heart pounded. Was she really taking his mail? Jacob quietly began tracking every delivery. Small things, letters, invoices, greeting cards continued to vanish. Strangely, Karen's porch seemed to grow more cluttered with packages, though he rarely saw her order anything. Tried confronting her once, casually asking if she had seen his missing mail. Karen crossed her arms and shot back, "Maybe you should pay closer attention. Not everyone's as careless as you." Her smug smile left Jacob unsettled. He vented to a few neighbors, but they shrugged it off. "That's just Karen," one said, "always in everyone's business." Still, Jacob knew this was bigger. Tampering with mail wasn't just rude, it was a federal crime. One night, he sat at his desk staring at yet another overdue bill, his credit sinking for reasons not his fault. Anger boiled in his chest. If Karen was behind this, he needed help. Real help. That's when he called the local post office and asked about a postal inspector. The next morning, a man in a neat suit knocked on Jacob's door, introducing himself as Inspector Davis. He explained that mail theft was taken very seriously. Jacob relayed everything: vanished letters, altered packages, and Karen's hostility. Davis nodded gravely. "If what you're saying is true, this isn't just neighborhood pettiness. It's a federal offense." Together, they devised a plan. Davis would place a few decoy letters in packages, addressed to Jacob each, discreetly tagged with tracking devices and invisible ink identifiers. If Karen touched them, there would be proof. Jacob felt nervous, almost guilty. What if he was wrong? What if Karen wasn't the culprit and he ended up looking foolish? But deep down he knew. Every time he replayed her smirk and dismissive words, the pit in his stomach told him he was right, as the first decoy package was slid into Jacob's mailbox. A sense of anticipation filled the air. A trap had been set. Jacob could barely sleep that night. He watched through his blinds as the streetlights flickered across the quiet neighborhood. At dawn, Karen strutted down her driveway, pretending to water her flowers. Jacob's pulse quickened as she paused by his mailbox. She glanced around, then swiftly she pulled the decoy letter out and tucked it under her jacket. His chest tightened. He wanted to run outside to shout, but Davis had told him to stay calm. "We need undeniable evidence," the inspector had warned. Over the next few days, Karen's boldness grew. She collected not just one, but multiple decoy packages, some slipped inside her home, others hidden beneath her porch bench. Jacob's anxiety turned into a simmering rage. Every envelope she stole was proof, every package a nail in her own coffin. Finally, Davis returned, reviewing the tracker data. "She's touched every one of them. Tomorrow, we make our move." The following morning, a postal inspection van quietly parked at the end of the street. Jacob peeked out his window, nerves buzzing like electricity. As Karen strutted outside once again, her eyes locked on the decoy box placed neatly in his mailbox. She smirked, as though it were already hers. She reached in, lifted it out, and carried it toward her house. That's when two inspectors and a local officer approached. "Ma'am," Davis called firmly, "please stop where you are." Karen froze, clutching the package. "Excuse me, this is my neighborhood. Who do you think you are?" Davis pulled out his badge. "Postal inspector. You're under investigation for mail theft, a federal crime." Karen's face drained of color. She sputtered excuses, insisting it was a misunderstanding. But when Davis produced the marked letters and packages, already recovered from her porch, her denial crumbled. Neighbors began stepping outside, curiosity sparked by the commotion. For years, many had suffered from Karen's bossiness and petty rule enforcing. Now they watched in shock as officers handcuffed her on her own lawn. "You can't do this." "I'm on the HOA board," she shouted, her voice cracking with desperation. But her title meant nothing now. The inspectors calmly read her rights as Jacob stood a few steps back, heart pounding with both relief and disbelief. A neighbor whispered, "All this time." "It was her," another muttered. "She thought she ran this place. Guess not anymore." For Jacob, the moment was bittersweet. He hadn't wanted a scene, but justice was finally visible. His stolen mail, his lost peace of mind, now vindicated. Karen, the woman who had harassed him endlessly, was being held accountable in front of everyone. In the weeks that followed, the neighborhood shifted. Without Karen's constant surveillance and interference, a sense of calm returned. The HOA meetings were quieter, and neighbors began speaking with Jacob more warmly, no longer doubting his complaints. The post office restored his records, and Davis assured him that stolen mail would no longer threaten his credit. Most importantly, Jacob felt safe again walking to his own mailbox, no longer fearing the unseen hand of theft. As for Karen, the federal charges meant serious consequences. Her arrogance, once shielded by HOA authority, had led her to a downfall she could never control. One evening, as Jacob stood on his porch watching the sunset, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Justice had been served not through anger or shouting, but through patience, evidence, and truth. For the first time in years, his home truly felt like his own.